Positive psychology is a fascinating area of psychology that has so much insight to give us when it comes to trying to cultivate a more meaningful and fulfilling life. However, that being said, the commercialization of some of the tenets of positive psychology have actually become very misleading and unfortunately leave some people worse off than they actually began. And I'm going to look at two of those today. And the first one is the use of positive affirmations. Now, I suppose we all have an internal critic and we all have an ongoing monologue. And if we have grown up in a very punitive, judgmental, critical environment, then our monologue tends to be quite negative and it tends to keep us in a place of very low self acceptance and low self worth. And it can really be problematic for us in every aspect of our life, our relationship, our career, our view of ourselves, and so on. However, that being said, the voice and the beliefs that we hold are something that are established at a very unconscious level. There are core beliefs, and unfortunately, they're not very easily overridden. So, when we try to come at them with a very conscious attempt at a neutral, kind of generic statement, it really doesn't even begin to resonate with us because, unfortunately, we don't believe it at our core level. And all we're doing is wasting valuable emotional and mental energy in trying to change how we think. And we're creating an inner turmoil. And oftentimes, that inner turmoil and conflict that we create makes us feel worse as opposed to actually make us feeling better. However, that being said, we do experience a temporary lift of mood. And I suppose that gives us a sense that this is actually working. However, in the long term, it doesn't have any benefits for us whatsoever. And research has shown that for somebody to actually benefit from positive affirmations, they need to have a relatively good sense of self acceptance and self worth established before they start to use the affirmations. Otherwise, they don't tend to benefit them in any way whatsoever and can actually deter them from dealing with the actual underlying issues that are contributing to their feelings of low self-worth and inadequacy. And then with positive thinking, again, that becomes another form of avoidance. It's basically telling yourself that you have to put a positive face on everything. And what that can result in is us avoiding dealing with negative emotions. Now, negative emotions have as much of a place in our life as the positive ones. And when we, I suppose, internalize this concept of them being unacceptable or unpopular, then we're giving ourselves a very powerful message about our authentic experience. We're telling ourselves that we cannot feel sad, that we cannot feel jealous, that we cannot feel angry. And yet these are all part and parcel of the human experience. And when we try to suppress those emotions, we actually do more harm than good. We leave ourselves in a worse off position than we started. And indeed, that can lead to serious mental health issues. So it's about recognizing that, okay, rumination isn't particularly helpful. Wallowing in your negative experiences isn't particularly helpful, but you still have to experience them. You still have to compassionately acknowledge them and you have to work your way through them. And you can't fast forward your way through any of your negative experiences. It's through being in them, accepting them for what they are, and then trying to, I suppose, shift your attention to what it is that you can do in that given moment that can, I suppose, maybe bring you towards a more positive place in life. So it's more about shifting your focus to what is good, but not trying to ignore what is bad. It's finding acceptance and then committing to doing something that is in alignment with where it is that you want to go, as opposed to being in denial of what is going wrong in life or any of the feelings that feel a little bit intolerable or uncomfortable, and just hoping that if you think positively, everything will look differently. And again, it's such a massive form of denial of your authentic experience. I mean, negative emotions can't harm us, but denying our negative emotions can have very harmful consequences for us and for the people in our lives. So it's about being very real, being very accepting of where you're at and working with that. Likewise with the positive affirmations, if we find something that is a little bit more neutral but a little bit more believable, then that's something we can work with, as opposed to telling ourselves something that we have no belief in whatsoever, or even kind of exploring the negative thought as opposed to trying just replace it with a positive one. So asking ourselves, okay, have I any evidence that I am X, Y, or Z? So just say, for example, you think that you're ugly, or you think that you're fat, or if you think that you're no good at your job, ask yourself what the actual evidence is, and then ask yourself if you can find a more compassionate, kind way to look at things, and then ask yourself, what action do I need to take that is going to bring me to another mindset that will be more I suppose close to where it is that I want to be in life. Because again, we have a certain amount of autonomy and agency that we are able to exert over our life. And it's all about discerning whether or not we just need to accept something exactly the way it is and there's nothing we can do about it, or if we need to take the appropriate steps towards where it is that we want to go. But if we're in this kind of denial state of, if I just repeat this mantra 20 times over a day, or if I just think a positive thought, then life is going to be different, then it's just a form of delusion. If you would like to work with me on creating a greater sense of self-acceptance, or if you are struggling with any mental health issues, get in touch with me on my website. It's fundamentals.ie.